Hey everybody, how's it going today? We are so excited to join you today and talk a little bit about the retreat. Charmaine and I are here. And, we got to thinking about the fact that, especially I feel like this time of year where we feel trapped inside and we're stuck and we're trying to figure out how do we eat healthy? It's cold outside and we just want that comfort food. And sometimes coming up with what we're going to make for dinner on a daily basis is a struggle. I don't know, do you guys ever feel that way? So Charmaine and I are here to not only share a little bit of how we go down that road, because this is things that we geek out on, right? We really love envisioning flavors and how they go together and what makes it taste good. And starting with ingredients sometimes is the way to inspire that. So we thought today we would share with you the spice kit that will be offered at the retreat. And then Charmaine and I are going to totally riff it. We haven't practiced this at all. We're going to just talk about what we like to do with these spices. So I'm Sherry Hess with the Flavor Remedy.
And I'm Charmaine with Receive Incorporated.
And we're so excited to be putting this retreat together. So here we go. All right, so the first spice, so each of the spices on here, you're going to get 6 spices in your kit. This comes from a company called Burlap and Barrel, which is the most amazing spices I've ever had. And I had my own spice company, so that says a lot. So these guys are single source spices, amazing flavor because it's fresh and they work directly with farms. So I have put this kit together to represent each of the 5 flavors that we experience on our taste buds, which is what we're going to dive deep into at this retreat. So the very first one is Salina Crystal Salt. This is salt that comes from beds over in New York State, an ancient ocean that's underneath the ground that they've discovered, that they pump water down and they bring this crystallized salt up. And it is the most intense salty flavor that I have ever experienced. So salt, right? Charmaine, when you think about salt and you get excited about food, what do you like to do with salt? I mean, it sounds like a simple, basic thing, but
it does. But it's such an amazing, powerful flavor. Gosh, what don't I use salt on? I mean, you can use salt on anything from meat to sauces, to your own dressings, to brownies, to desserts. We're seeing a lot of, chocolate mixed with salt now. I have used this on my brownies. God, it's life-changing, really.
That's awesome. And I love that balance, right? Because that's part of what we'll talk about at the retreat too, is the balance of flavors, the importance of not only just that taste experience, but what does it mean nutritionally when you balance flavors on your plate, right? So have that salty with that sweet, what is that doing to our entire eating process? Okay, so the next one represents sweet. And this is Royal Cinnamon, Burlap and Barrel Royal Cinnamon. They have several cinnamons, but this one, I swear to you, it's like eating a red hot candy. It is the sweetest and spiciest cinnamon I've ever had. So this represents the sweet category. And let's talk about cinnamon.
Let's talk about cinnamon. So cinnamon I found is complementary to some simple nut milk lattes that I make in the morning. I'll just throw on a dash of cinnamon and, some really good maple syrup or honey and mix it up. And the cinnamon alone is enough to bring that nut milk latte to life. I use it a lot on red meat. So if you're a red meat eater, it's beautiful on ribeyes and flank steaks and T-bones. I mean, it's just a little bit of salt and pepper, some of the cinnamon. It just brings that meat to life. It's a really good for dry rub. So, and then it really is a very beautiful spice to add to any desserts. I find that I'm almost always throwing some of the cinnamon on and into any dessert that I'm making.
I love that. And I love that you bring it into the savory aspect, right? Because I think a lot of times people don't think of cinnamon as savory, But if you were going to look at like Indian dishes and stuff, like cinnamons are really part of curries a lot of the time. And we just, in our culture, typically just think of, the cinnamon buns and the cinnamon lattes and the things like that. But there's so much to it, right? And then there's studies out there about cinnamon balancing insulin too. So if you're gonna have a sweet thing, you better put some cinnamon in it, right? And I love the idea of steak. It's so funny. I used to make a cinnamon blend when I was doing my spice blends, and my partner's son would always put it on his steaks, and we always found that really fascinating. So I love that you brought that in too. So cool.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one might be a little unique to some people. This is cured sumac, and this represents the sour flavor. So this is actually a berry that gets dried, and it is a really great option for when you want a little pop to your flavor. So Charmaine, how do you use sumac?
Sumac has, to me, a wide variety, but it's really beautiful, like as a dry rub on meats. I've utilized it, like sprinkled it on salads. It's really a great replacement for lemon juice, lime juice, and vinegar. So if you're making your own dressings or sauces, you can throw in sumac and like less of a citrus or vinegar, and you'll find that that sumac really brings that sauce and that flavor to life. That's really how I've utilized sumac. Plus, it's very, like you had mentioned, Sherry, it really is delicious in a lot of Middle Eastern dishes and Indian dishes. And it's really a very beautiful sour flavor to indulge in.
Yeah,
So
I
that would
love
be
that too. It's hard to find sometimes like sour in a dried spice, right? Like it's easy to put a squeeze of lemon and stuff, but if you want to do like a dry rub,
yeah.
I love sumac for that too, because it does, not only does it give us that pop of flavor, like if you think about a marinade, you almost always use a vinegar with, right? But to give a dry rub that acidity that helps to also start to break it down, you'll learn more about what sour does for you in the retreat.
Mm.
So I
Thank you.
love that. Okay, the next one we have, again, some of these, like the cinnamon, and this is a Taurus Mountain thyme. It might sound like a common thing or something that you already have in your pantry, but oh my God, the spices from Burlap and Barrel will just blow your mind. So this particular thyme is, I mean, I have actually tasted this next to thyme that I've grown from my backyard and tasted from my backyard, and this still blows it away. Is that amazing?
So amazing. Well, Sherry, I actually would love to know how you infuse thyme into your life, the spice thyme, the
Spice
flavor
time,
thyme.
right? Never had enough time. Yeah, thyme is it's one of those. I always think of fish right away. That's the first thing I really love to put thyme on, is it brings that bitter flavor. So that's what thyme in this kit does represent, is the bitter flavors. And thyme is really high antiviral, really antioxidant. So, in the times when in the time that we think about winter time, all right, I'm pushing the button a little too much here. Soups, right? In the winter, when we want these warm, hearty soups and we want to make sure that our immune system is being built up, I always put thyme in, especially in the winter when you really want to keep your immune system strong and healthy. And that's what bitter flavors do for us. They keep things moving, they keep things going. They really help to support that antiviral, antibacterial space. So thyme can be used in dressings. It can be used again in marinades, and we can put it on meats and barbecues. I love it on mushrooms, like sauteed mushrooms with thyme is just a beautiful thing. Roasted vegetables. Thyme is pretty much a universal herb, I think. And like I said, especially in wintertime, it feels really important to be sure that we're supporting our immune system with these really healthy herbs. So.
Yum.
All right, and then the next one represents the umami flavor, and umami is the flavor of protein. And you might look at this and go, what? This is sun-dried tomato powder. It says right on the side of the label, umami bomb.
All right.
So Burlap and Barrel even calls out the umami flavors of this. So this is tomatoes that have been sun-dried and ground up. And so umami is a flavor that we're going to dive deep into the retreat, because it's not necessarily as well recognizable. Well, people don't think it is because we don't think about it that much, but it is the flavor of protein. And believe it or not, there actually is protein in tomatoes. It's something that, especially once you dehydrate it and you get it down to that, the essence of what the tomato is really made from, the protein level that we find in a tomato is really prevalent, and that flavor is very, very present. Um, so I like to use the tomato powder in, I actually love to mix it just in, we're going to have canned meats, right? I love to just mix it in my burger meat. It almost kind of creates a, like a ketchup from the inside out kind of an idea, right? So you're getting
Yeah.
that complexity, and you're also complementing the flavors of the meat with it. Now, the one thing about the tomato powder being representative of umami is that it's not just umami, because the tomato, as you can imagine, carries other flavors as well. But it does give you that essence as well. So, and then, did you have any thoughts on that, Charmaine, you wanted to share?
No, I was just saying it sounds delicious. The one question I have for you is with that tomato powder, have you ever like incorporated it into any like pasta sauces at all, just to
Oh,
give it
for
a little
sure.
bit of more protein kick?
Yeah, absolutely. You could even add it to like a pesto. So it could be like a sun-dried tomato and pesto type
Mhm.
mix, and then when you like, if you were going to make a pesto, with the classic nut for a pesto is a pine nut, or even if you did it with an almond or some other kind of nut, a cashew even, right? It almost creates a complementary flavor to the umami flavor in the nuts as well. So it's like extra, extra. But it's nice to have that umami balance out the bitterness of the herbs. So if you were to make a pesto with a basil, or even with a thyme or a parsley, you have that really bitter presence through the herbs, and then the umami flavor really helps to balance bitter flavors too. So absolutely, you could put it in that. I love it.
Oh, yummy. Beautiful.
And then the
Thank you.
very last one is a blend that you get to play with however you like. And this one is black lime and chili and salt. So this has the Salina salt, which is also in the kit, black lime, which gives it the sour, and then the chilies that are in here give it a little kick. So you can imagine this might be really good on the rim of a margarita.
Mm.
um, or a mocktail, of course. It's just a really nice blend of flavors, and that's really to kind of demonstrate what happens when we blend these flavors. And when I was selling spices, I sold only blends, because there's an ease to that, right? There's an ease that makes cooking so much more efficient if you just start with a combination of flavors. So,
Absolutely.
so
Wow,
that's
how
it.
that's just beautiful offering, and I love the different flavors we'll be presenting at the retreat, and really exploring just the singular options as well as the blends, and it's going to be just a most scrumptious experience.
And the beautiful thing for our retreat attendees is they don't have to think about any of it, right? I mean, besides the fact we're going to encourage them to be looking for themselves and to see how these flavors can support them, and maybe how they can trust their sense of taste a little bit, right? And not maybe have to stress so much about what's good for them when you start to look at flavor from life through these categories of flavor that we all experience. So imagine trusting your taste buds, being fed
Mm,
and nurtured all weekend long. Mm,
yes, please.
awesome. Well, we will put the link to the retreat below this video, and please join us. We have about 10 days 10 days left. The third is the last day to register, so we're coming up on deadlines. If you've been thinking about it, wondering, have questions, please reach out to either one of us. We'll be happy to answer questions for you, but time's a ticking.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.